Here, get away. Out. Good morning, YouTube. April had a wonderful list last week of cars that men own to compensate for things.
It's like a junior high type of list.
Very interesting list. But Jalopnik is sort of doing the same thing, only their list this week, and I breezed through it, and it's interesting the cars that were chosen by their audience. The title of the article is Readers Say Only Idiots Drive These Cars. So cars exclusively for morons.
Okay, I like it.
And I was curious in the correlation between smallness and small brains, and really there's not too many, but one that's not on the list is Nissan products, Nissan Altimas, which usually is the go-to for complete idiots driving on the road.
Right.
Obviously, they cater themselves to bad credit customers, so it kind of goes with the territory there. They make bad decisions with their money, they make bad decisions with life and driving, but that's not on the list. I was very surprised, along with some others. So are you ready for their list?
Yeah. Do we have a background on who wrote the list? Or
Well, it's just what their audience says.
Okay. So they like had a vote.
Yes.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. And the first one is an obvious one, Dodge Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously, because they're the ones doing all the stupid things and the street takeovers and the cars and coffees and everything.
I like those when they're like the base model. They're priced where you can actually afford them. So I appreciate that. But any sort of modification, souped up, bigger engine, and those guys drive them like complete idiots.
Right. Well, they're saying they're getting cheaper and ending up on buy here, pay here lots and getting snatched up by idiots. So, yeah, I suppose. The next one is all Teslas. And there's a lot of Tesla hate here.
I do feel like people that drive a Tesla think that they're better than me. And I don't know if that's a subconscious thing where like they probably actually are, because they're saving the environment. But I just feel like they have like their little, snooty, or they just feel like they're fancier.
I mean, basically they're saying people use that acceleration, that instant snappy acceleration to do dumb things on the road, to whip around people and everything, and especially if they have a vanity plate, this person says, to give them a very wide berth because they think that they're better than you.
But the instant acceleration is jarring. If you've never driven an electric car, it's like a light switch and you turn it on and you instantly just catapult forward. So hopefully, maybe they'll be able to merge better, because merging seems like a thing idiots do not know how to do.
Right.
But the Tesla, maybe that'll help.
A lot of Tesla hate. Tesla Cybertruck specifically. I really should just give up on the Cybertruck.
That was on my list.
It's supposed to be January to March delivery. It's not going to show up in March because I don't even have a VIN yet. So Cybertruck is on there, and more Tesla hate. Just the Model 3.
Wait, so 3 Teslas fill in the spot right now.
This person said that all the Audi and BMW douchebag leases, they've moved over to the Tesla Model 3. Okay. That's what they all drive now. So all those people that you saw in 3 Series and Audi S4s and all that stuff, they've migrated. So that's the new Danger Will Robinson car. The next one was sort of surprising to me, but when I thought about it, they're right, the Chevy Tahoe.
Interesting.
Yes.
Why would this be on the list?
Well, here's what they said. My nominee is the freaking Tahoe. Not just Tahoe, but frickin' Tahoe. First of all, the thing is too damn big. They're driven by short people so they can feel safe. But they don't know the dimensions of their own car to make basic maneuvers, obviously. And they are always in the way. Yes.
Can we have stats on people's heights on purchasing Tahoes to see if there's a correlation?
It is a big, safe car that people buy. The Tahoe is the cheapest of the 3, so the ones that they migrate to versus, like a GMC Yukon Denali or a Cadillac Escalade. And they're always annoyed. Last night, we went to Dairy Queen. We did not get chicken fingers. We got the actual blizzards.
Right, yeah.
And there was a Tahoe in front of us. And they couldn't figure out what they wanted, so they didn't drive over the strip yet to take their order. And they just waited as everything backed up while they looked at the menu screen. And then they drove over and then took their really long, stupid order that they couldn't communicate, and then went over the curb as they went over to pick up the food. Yeah, how do I think about it? Tahoes are definitely scary ones.
Well, the funny part was the person taking the order was mad at us just because of leftover anxiety and uncomfortableness from the Tahoe driver.
Yeah, there was no welcome to Dairy Queen. It was like, go ahead. I think it was what they said, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is fine, but the Tahoe driver messed him up a little bit.
Yup. So next is squatted trucks. Obviously, when they do this stance thing, we've said that before, how stupid it is. Basically shows how much of an idiot you are, as people say.
So why is that stance good? Why is that a good thing?
It is a style choice for people who are missing a chromosome. It's just pretty simple. The next one, the Hyundai Genesis Coupe, which I didn't think about much, but basically, this person says that all of the Infiniti G35 and G37 people, those cars are too old, they've ruined them, they're destroyed, there's nothing left. So those crazy people of 10 years ago have migrated to this platform. So basically being an Infiniti driver by association, and most of them have been modified with some boy racer mods and driven like idiots, like Infiniti Coupes, which the Car Wizard has like the nicest surviving G35 coupe that hasn't been all boy racered and drives it like a grandpa. But in general, they were all ruined and destroyed, and they've moved over to Hyundai Genesis coupes. I don't see too many of them, though.
I don't see any of them,
They had the 3.8 V6, and I think they go pop pretty easily, or it's just a bad maintenance, but also the turbo ones, not very good. You said this with BMWs, and they agree with you. BMWs with fart tunes, when they pop and crackle,
so
BMWs
bad.
Especially, but any ones with modified exhaust,
Wait,
they are
they
completely
said that?
Yep.
You're kidding!
So there's the correlation between April thinking they have a small pee-pee and they're dumb. So, yes.
This is considered fact.
Right.
If we were scientists, this is evidence that this should be fact, right? Is that how science works? It does now.
Right. And unfortunately, that's a double hit for Jake, right, with his BMW. So, sorry. So sorry.
Short, too.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The next one I really didn't think of, but yeah, they are right.
Yeah.
A little high-performance VWs. So like a VW Golf R, a GTI, or maybe even the small Audi ones that are performance. What this person said is they're an egomaniacal 25-year-old mobile phone accessory shop employee living with their parents.
It reminds me of like, when people used to say hipsters and those are cool and like, or what are those guys that always get really like fancy and they spend too much time?
Oh, like metrosexual?
Metrosexual, a little bit. Like I always feel like these cars, again, with the Tesla, that they're better than me, that they think they're better than me. And they are, but you don't have to rub it in my face.
Well, unfortunately, when I was about 25 years old, I bought a Volkswagen GTI, brand new.
Yeah. You totally would.
$23,000, and that is very much a 25-year-old drive like an idiot kind of car.
But
like,
you're
look
still...
how cool I am with a brand new hot hatch. I even called it a poor man's Porsche. Here's my little baby Porsche.
Like, you're still a little more sophisticated than the basic.
Well, I think I would have fit this to a T and was probably pretty stupid at the time. I'm kind of a moron, to be honest with you. Next, you had this, not the original Hummer, you had the H2, H3, but they think anybody is a total moron for buying a Hummer H1 and driving it on the street. And people don't want to see you lick there, so you're going... yeah.
Really? The
Hummer
H1? I get it because it's tricky to drive because it's so big and where do you park it? Like, it's not really going to fit in your garage and there's a lot of high maintenance. So you have to really want a Hummer to get this H1.
It doesn't make any sense because it doesn't fit anywhere. Yeah, it's kind of stupid to own. This one was kind of a surprise, though. Any model of Lexus. Think Altima drivers, but with a false sense of bouginess and a complete lack of sense on the roads.
This is so good.
Which, when you think about it,
so
Lexus owners are generally just very clueless, just have blinders on. And
this is really mean.
I do.
Because you can't say everyone that owns a Lexus. So you can say 99.9999% of Lexus owners.
I mean, they do skew older, and it's people who just don't care about driving. They just want to get there and
and you want to have some class. You want to say, look at me, I'm fancy, not super fancy, not Ferrari, Lamborghini, but I have some elegance. I'm going to drive a Lexus.
Yes. Mildly successful realtor gets that when you watch out.
Well, what does a hugely successful realtor get?
They get like a Cayenne or a Range Rover or a G-Wagon. Okay. But the stepping stone is definitely an Lexus, a Lexus RX or something, right?
This is so mean. We're picking on so many people and ourselves. So
I
that's
suppose.
Okay.
Yeah. Subarus.
Oh my gosh, my brother.
On the list.
My brother has one.
What
does it say?
Well, he has like the Crosstrek. They're saying Foresters.
Is there a huge difference? I feel like Subaru is just overall you're a certain type of person when you get a Subaru.
So this person says, if you have a Forester where I live, you took those commercials as instructions for driving. All those commercials where they're weaving in and out of off-roads and going, like showing the capability of it. Right. They'll weave in and out of lanes, not out of aggression, but because staying in between the lines is something beyond their driving capability. They will not notice when lights turn green or red. They'll make left-hand turns from the far right lane. Yes. They'll drive aimlessly and unpredictably through parking lots. And they will always double park.
The parking lot thing is so true. I'm sorry. That is like on point right there in a parking lot.
Yeah, your brother's a good driver, though.
Well, I mean, like you usually get a Subaru because they're great, like off-roading, right? Is that what they're known? And so my brother's an Explorer, so it's literally dirty and covered in mud and sand all the time. That's what they're for. I get it. Driving in a parking lot, they have some problems with it.
Yeah, I think just generic, boring utility vehicles, people that don't really care about driving, that's definitely one of them. The Ford Mustang, of course, is on the list. That's another one.
But are we like this generation right now?
Pretty much any generation of Mustang goes in the crowd. I mean, it is a big punchline. That's sort of low-hanging fruit, obviously.
Yeah, that was too easy.
And then
step up your game, Jalopnik.
Right. And then this one was a surprise, but when I thought about it, absolutely true. The Chevy S10 and the S10 Blazer.
Just the two-door?
He says specifically the ZR2 version, which you don't see too much of anymore. But he says every single owner I've ever met is a dip douche idiot.
A dip douche?
Yes. Camaro, BMW, Range Rover drivers, they're a mixture with certain stereotypes applied. But this one is unanimously idiots, complete, utter morons.
What is it specifically about this model, you'd say?
Well, it's the off-road model for Chevy, but it is not very rugged or capable off-road. It's just sort of a look.
Okay.
And so you have to like not read or do a moments of research on the reliability of these because I mean, they're literally falling apart if there are any left.
Right. So they just look cool.
Yeah, they look cool.
And they fall apart.
Correct.
Okay.
But I'm surprised someone would say this because anywhere north of us, they're all gone. They're all rusted away and gone. So, but I definitely saw that years ago, and I actually had a red ZR2 on my lot.
Yeah.
And the first person that test drove it ran it into a pole as he was pulling out, and he said it was my fault because the pole was there. But it was on the driver's side, and he had to walk in between these poles to get in and test drive the thing, and then took the turn too tight and just went.
So what like that's my worst nightmare when you test drive a car and you drive it off the lot into traffic and you're like, of course, you're envisioning someone crashing into you. But like what happens? Who's responsible when that happens?
Well, it's his insurance, but he just ended up buying it anyway. And he definitely fit the stereotype of a complete moron. Yeah, it was a maroon ZR2, and that was interesting.
Yeah.
The next one might hurt your feelings, but the Mercedes G-Wagon.
Lay it on me. What are they saying about me?
Yeah, Mercedes G-Wagon drivers. Every time I see one on my commute to work, it's either cutting off someone without using a signal, passing someone on the shoulder, or honking and hitting the high beams to get someone out of their way.
That's tough.
Most of the time they're doing all three.
I don't do the high beams thing, but I could see the other things.
There is definitely a sense of entitlement to G-Wagon owners, the newer ones especially. They feel like they're kind of like Teslas. They're better than anybody else. And
right. They're fancy. They're cool. They're eye-catching. Just so you all know, they are the biggest chick magnet cars ever. Like a lot of these classic cars and cool cars you'll drive, and like guys are like, oh, and you're at the gas station, they want to talk to you, and oh, that's so cool, and they're drooling over at G-Wagons. If you need a little help there in that department, the girls swarming around it, they love it.
Right, but we were idiots for buying one because ours has cylinder scoring and is using a quart every 200 miles, and that's why it was cheap.
It was cheap and affordable.
Getting a motor replacement.
But there is something about G-Wagon drivers. I could totally see the high beams and honking
for
the least amount of, like, the stupidest situation ever. And they're in a hurry because they're on their phone, they're doing 25 things, and they're not paying attention.
Absolutely.
But this is so mean that we're just, like, so close-minded on people and what cars they drive. But there's a little bit of truth.
It's a type. Those people that just binge watch the Jersey Shore. This is their dream car. Absolutely. And so dumb people are attracted to this, but car enthusiasts are attracted to it too. So it's kind of a mixed bag.
Right.
Next is the Toyota Corolla, which... And I could definitely see this based on the description. It makes sense. They're all completely oblivious to other cars on the road and makes absolutely baffling decisions that puts all other cars in danger. And I highlight baffling. They're not just bad drivers. I swear they hate driving and would rather be doing anything else in the world but driving, and therefore their skills on the road line up with somebody that's equal parts terrified and mindless.
I mean, there's the most of these on the road. They're so common. They're not super expensive, so I could see you just don't give an F. Can I say that? I don't know what I'm allowed to say. So you're just driving and not caring about scuffing it up and, fender benders and getting the rims or the wheels all messed up.
Right, but it's just like, oh, God, I have to buy a car. I don't want a car. I don't care. I just want to get to work and back. I don't care. Like, get a Toyota Corolla. I'm just going to get a Corolla and just get it over with. And then just like, oh man, I have to drive. Like anything but driving. That is the car for them. I would say it's not total idiots because the Corolla, if you're going to buy one of those little compact crap boxes, that's probably the best one. So they made a somewhat informed decision compared to like a Nissan Versa, Mitsubishi Mirage, or Hyundai, Kia, or something like that.
Mitsubishi Mirage.
Yeah, the Mirage. But definitely an Econobox. Scary drivers, most certainly. The next one is the Range Rover Sport. They specified the Sport, which is, the mid-size SUV, not the full-size Range Rover, which I thought was interesting. I have a vendor whose sales rep drives one of these, and she calls it a Rangy.
So bad.
And the woman is the most bubble-headed individual I have ever known.
Rangy.
And there's a lot of bubbleheads that drive, Range Rover, Range Rover Evokes, the lesser Rovers, most certainly, where they just wanted to get into one. And
I can see that. What about the convertible Evoque Range Rover? What would you say about those people that own those?
Very cool. Very cool, very educated purchasers.
Yes. Like if you were to drive by a construction site, then all the workers would be like, yeah, I love that car,
Are you trying to give a little hint to a Hoovie's Garage episode that's coming up?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes.
Moving on.
So they made the Evoque convertible for a few years, and it's very interesting. But yeah, I definitely see that. Once again, the same with G-Wagons, the same with... It attracts a certain stupidity sometimes.
Well, you're buying it because you want some prominence. Is prominence a word? You want that entitlement. You want that kind of a look, so you're spending extra money when really you don't need to spend that extra money on a car. But you want to show off a little bit, and that's where it's at.
The Dodge Challenger is on here, obviously, same as Mustang drivers. It attracts a lot of idiots.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's their list of cars driven by idiots.
What do you think is the ultimate kind of jerk douchebag car out there? Like when you see one on the road, you're like, oh no, I'm never going to get around this idiot.
Grand National. No. I hate to say it, and it was on this list, but I still think the highest proportion of idiot drivers are in BMWs. Old, clapped out, noisy BMWs. And I just noticed the most stupidity in driving with those cars.
It's true. Is Jake going to quit working? Jake, are you going to leave us?
You got to agree. Like, there's the most amount of stupidity versus clapped out BMW owners.
There's a reason I don't go to any club meets or anything.
Right. That makes sense.
And they're less prevalent on the road than Nissans. The Nissans are just so obviously terrible, terrible drivers. And that's why there's a whole Facebook group that we've covered a few times, the big Ultimate Energy. They're just proportionally the worst drivers. Yeah.
I will tell you, if I'm like with girls driving and one of those BMWs kind of like revs up next to us or just peels out, we all, every single time, just roll our eyes and laugh. Like there's nothing cool and sexy about that modified exhaust or whatever you're doing near BMW to make it sound cool and sexy. It's just, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. What about you? Is there just one that sticks out in your head?
I feel bad because I'm sure a lot of great people own these. There's probably not a ton of them on the road. I mean, I do see a lot in Kansas, but the Jeep Gladiator, like it doesn't look correct to me in my eyes.
You just think it looks dumb, but I don't see like dumb drivers and dumb owners like doing dumb things with it.
They want a little special, like they feel a little more special. Like I'm not gonna get a pickup truck. I'm not gonna get a Wrangler. I'm gonna get a Gladiator and put it together. Like it looks like a Lego kit of a car and not an actual real car or not an actual real truck.
So you just think they're morons. I mean, they've been kind of slow sellers. It sort of was like, this seems like a slam dunk for people to build a Jeep pickup truck.
Right.
And you would have thought it sold like hotcakes, but it doesn't because it is very expensive.
Yeah.
It's not something that starts out at like 20 grand to compete with, say, a Ford Maverick or even, some other crossover pickups. It's more off-roader, and they did make it ridiculously expensive for, a basic vehicle is what it is, but I don't think they're I don't see morons driving them doing dumb things.
I just think they look weird, interesting, and you have to really, really want one to get one because, like you said, they're very expensive. I don't know anyone that owns one, so prove me wrong.
I got one of the very first ones, brand new.
See,
not that long ago.
I'm right.
Huh.
Just kidding.
Thank you so much for watching.